Hello, welcome back. Gennaro here, CEO of Cortex Solutions, and we're going to be talking about threat intelligence and analysis. Think about it like this. We know that cybersecurity is going to be a field that's always going to be ever evolving, especially when it comes to trying to beat the threat actor. Well, our threat intel gives us information. It gives us information about who that threat actor is. What type of techniques have they been using? What type of tactics have they been using? It gives organizations more of an active role with actionable insights rather than, trying to guess at what that threat actor is doing. But what is threat intelligence? So it's defined as like evidence-based information because, again, we can look at the past, look at the present, look at all our context right now that's current and figure out, how can I understand what's going on? Is this malware giving me any tell signs of who may be behind it? What APT may be behind it? So we use threat intel to give us detailed information. Now, what about the types of threat intel? So we have strategic, tactical, operational, and technical. We have four main categories. And threat intel is going to be based upon, is it going to be highly focused on long term? Strategic is long-term, as in the same things when it comes to business and their business plans and their tactical plans and everything like that. It's going to be dependent upon, what type of threat intel we're using. If it's going to be tactical, we need to understand, what are those specific TTPs? And I just mentioned them earlier. There's techniques, tactics, and procedures. And then how attackers can use phishing in any event, right? To download some ransomware. You have your operational. This is active threats. This is more so about, what's going on? What's the campaign landscape look like? And then your technical threats. This is focused on like specific indicators, such as URLs or like the malicious domains that we talked about, some DNS maybe, right? Looking at IP addresses that may seem, malicious, or at least that come up a lot if you're doing any type of research. But threat intel will give you a lot of those different insights. It depends on which one you're kind of really going for, or you can just have a combination of all, right? Now, what are the key steps, though, in threat intel and analysis? Well, we're going to be collecting data. We're going to be transforming this data into actionable insights. I mentioned earlier, that's where the organization is going to shine, having actual insights that allow the use case to actually play itself out. But hey, we know about it. That's the biggest key. And understanding the different sources. So we get them from firewall logs, SIEM tools, even web traffic analysis gives us information. Looking at the intelligence platforms or dark web forums because, they're going to be used to talk and discuss about all the new different attack methods that are out there as well too. And then focusing on public information, OSINT. And then there are tools such as Maltego. You can use Shorten as well to get some more information if you're looking at it from the aspect of IoT maybe. But it really just depends on what source you're looking at. And then it's very important to have context in regards to threat analysis. It's going to pretty much be the determining factor of, hey, I can actually find and isolate this threat versus I'm looking for a needle in a haystack, right? Because with context, you get to understand, like our example here, our suspicious IAP is scanned multiple ports and then it transmitted files overnight, but at least it gave us like a trail what they were going to be utilizing, right? The steps that they used. I scanned some ports. I figured out that there were some ports open. Maybe I want to use DNS. Maybe I want to use some of the other ones that may not look so suspicious, right? And send that data over versus, someone accesses our network and we really don't know too much about it. So context is very important. It allows us to use and filter that information into tools such as our Maltego, some of the SIEMs that we talked about before, Splunk, you have Logarithm, and then the user behavioral analytics, because that's very important. A behavioral type of aspect, if you're looking at it from a perspective of this is understanding that, user Bob, like we mentioned before, has logged in 5 times and in all different locations. How is this possible? Right, so you get to use the information that we're learning here and use it inside of a tool. It makes it to where you're able to expand on what you currently already know, but put it in a way where you can understand that as you go through this, there's going to be methodologies and frameworks you're going to utilize, like the MITRE ATT&CK or the model framework within the use cases of everything. Now, look at the diamond model, for instance. Now, another way we can look at this, because it's going to link different threat actors, what type of capabilities they may have as well. And using that MITRE ATT&CK framework, it gives us more of a broader sense of, okay, during this phase within their attack, this is what they'll be doing for recon. This is what they'll be doing for initial implementation phases of everything. This is what they will be doing for weaponization, right? So these are just some of the common things to look forward to when you're trying to break it down from a framework or a standard type of viewpoint, because it's going to go back into, well, what threat hunting is. And there's a whole cycle around this where you're trying to understand proactively what is really going on. So you put together these different strategies, right? You try to detect these hidden attacks. You try to receive some intelligence from any of these sources that we talked about, the tips as well, the platforms that you can use, or just publicly publicized data as well, going through the aspect of, well, what is happening, right? You want to develop your own hypotheses around the information that's received, because then, hey, you're looking at it at a different way than another organization may be. And then it can become actionable, because then you can say, okay, well, I have all this information. Now I know the ports I need to block. Now I know what patches need to be done. So reinforcing the aspect of, okay, well, let me go through this training exercise one more time. Let me use SOC simulation one more time so I can understand what happens. Or let me go back through one of the use cases that we used before. Maybe there was some ransomware that was detected, and then we have our automatic playbook, our source system in place that allows us to, oh, wow, okay, I can understand, I can respond effectively to this by detecting different scripts that are being run, right? By being able to target all the outdated systems. So these are all information that's going to make it, well, actionable. And then collaborating with our sharing and analysis centers like we spoke about earlier. This gives you more of a broader aspect of, or at least a broader viewpoint of like, oh, wow, this is what's actually happening within the ecosystem. Now, some of the real-world examples are going to be detecting a phishing domain, right? So malicious actors, they like to, well, create typo squatting domains for phishing attacks. What does that mean? Well, think about it like this. And then I'll also use the terminology around honeypots as well too. So if you have something that's, well, very enticing to a threat actor or to someone, like a phishing email, you're going to want to go for that. And then as a post exploitation, you're going to see, well, what happened after that? Did they click the link? Did they log in with their credentials? This is kind of what we're talking about here when we're looking to detect the phishing domains, because it kind of goes in both ways. You can use threat intel to monitor those suspicious domains, right? You can have threat actors create and do all the different aspects of, well, making this too good to be true in a sense, right? But it's been great. Gennaro, CEO of Cortex Solutions, and we just talked about the use cases of threat intelligence and analysis brought to you by ACSMI. You have a great one. Thanks.